Spellbound is a 3D animated musical fantasy adventure movie created by Skydance Animation. The movie was directed by Vicky Jensen, who also directed the first Shrek movie. The story is set in a magical world called Lumbria, where magic is plentiful. We follow Princess Elian, who is determined to break the spell of darkness that transformed her parents into monsters. To do so, she seeks the help of two oracles who tell her that her parents must break the spell themselves, by traveling to a specific location where they must return to the light to revert back. On their journey, they face various obstacles that try to prevent Elian from succeeding. And over time, she increasingly grows frustrated as the journey progresses. Elian is a teenage girl that just turned 15, and after nearly a year of her parents being monsters, she's reaching her limit. Although she tries her best to be optimistic, she might succumb to the darkness herself.
It's coming for you, Princess! I thought you said you didn't have any dark feelings!
I didn't think I did!
Just before we move on to other characters, I just want to talk about one line that stood out to me when Elian is talking to her parents. Basically asking them, "Don't you want to be human again?" It kind of caught me off guard because nothing in the movie really suggests that they're human based on their elf-like designs. I guess it's just their world's version of humans. They could have said people, but they oddly chose human instead. I don't know, it was just a random line that stood out to me. Overall, she's a decently fun and entertaining character. Other characters include her council members, Bolivar and Nazara, who assist Elian in running the kingdom but have completely given up hope on breaking the spell and restoring the king and queen. Their characters are fine, but they don't do a whole lot. Even Bolivar, who joins Elian on her journey, doesn't significantly impact the story. He mostly serves as someone for Elian to talk to as the story progresses. The parents don't do too much either, which makes sense since they're monsters incapable of anything but causing chaos. However, they start to talk halfway through the movie. While this progression is good, they still don't contribute much until the final conflict, which is executed well but could have been built up more effectively. Visually, the animation looks very polished. The style feels very Disney-like, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, if Skydance wants to stand out, imitating their competition isn't the way to do it. The animation flows nicely though, and character and creature designs are very pleasant to look at. So there isn't too much to complain there, although I found the design of the darkness underwhelming. As the driving force of the conflict, it should have been more menacing and fiercer, but it mostly comes off as a mild nuisance. This brings me to the antagonists of the movie. There aren't really villains, they're just obstacles in the character's way. The first is the general, who pursues Elian as she guides her parents towards their transformation. However, she doesn't feel like a significant threat until the final conflict. And even then, the resolution is quick. She's more of a misunderstood character than a true antagonist. The second antagonist is the darkness itself, which only manifests when there's darkness inside someone. Elian's frustrations as she fears she'll never get her parents back makes sense as a trigger for its presence. However, the darkness feels underwhelming as a threat. It could have benefited from more build-up and a more destructive presence when it appears. This would have provided a stronger emotional motivation for Elian to resist and keep moving forward. The final conflict is good, but the build-up and the resolution don't feel fully earned. A little more development could have gone a long way to make the audience feel what the characters feel. Now, about the music. Initially, the movie wasn't advertised as a musical until less than 2 weeks before it premiered on Netflix. Then, the marketing started emphasizing it as a musical, continuing the trend of studios under-advertising musicals for some reason. The songs range from good to fine. Nothing overtly bad, but nothing particularly memorable either. The standout song is probably the one where Elian expresses her desires for how things used to be. You feel her as she struggles to run the kingdom alone at such a young age. That said, it's odd that Elian and her council waited over a year to seek out these oracles. Perhaps she wasn't aware of them, but I'm not too sure. This is Skydance's second animated movie after Luck, which premiered on Apple TV. Personally, I found Luck to be one of the most average movies I've ever seen, so I didn't have high expectations for this movie. With Skydance, I'm always a bit skeptical for reasons. If you know, you know. Spellbound was initially supposed to premiere on Apple TV+, but was dropped and later picked up by Netflix. It's good for Skydance to reach a wider audience, but I'm not entirely sure why the partnership with Apple ended. The movie has a solid foundation, but it doesn't push its potential to the fullest. If you didn't catch it, the movie is a metaphor for divorce, and at times it could be a bit on the nose. That's not inherently a bad thing, but more could have been done with this premise. I will say that Spellbound is an improvement over Luck, but not by a significant amount. It sits somewhere between above average and good. I'm leaning towards good, but it's not something I'd rave about, though it is an enjoyable watch for families. What did you all think of it? Please let me know down below.